Hi boys and girls, today we're going to read a book called Tony Baloney, School Rules. It was written by Pam Munoz Ryan and Edwin Fotheringham. Tony Baloney, School Rules. Oh. The Big Day is on page 5. School Rules is on page 13. B Emergencies is on page 28. Friendship Ambassador is on page 34. Let's read about the big day. Tony Baloney, the macaroni penguin, wakes up early. Before Papa Baloney can remind him, he dresses, then brushes his teeth. He's ready. Today, he won't have to obey bossy big sister Baloney. He won't have to play with the bothersome babies Baloney. Today, he is going to school. He packs his backpack with his favorite things, Parmesan cheese, little green walrus guys, and his very best stuffed animal buddy, Dandylion. I'm a teeny weeny bit worried about the big day. I know, Big Sister says there are a lot of rules, but Mama says we will be just fine. What if I get lost on the way to the bathroom? What if I don't find a place to sit at lunchtime? What if I can't follow the rules? Don't worry, we can do it. I'll be there if you need me. Besides, would you rather stay home with the bothersome babies? Let's see, drool or school? Pack my pencils. Now, do you think his stuffed animal buddy Dandylion is really talking to him? No. I can see the difference based off of where the words are. The stuffed animal's words are in a thought bubble, and Tony Baloney's words are in a speech bubble. See how they look different? The one that looks like a cloud with little poofs coming down, those are thought bubbles. And they mean that nobody is talking out loud. Besides, stuffed animals can't talk. I think Tony Baloney is actually the one that's a little worried, and he's pretending that his stuffed animal is telling him about the worries. And then he's answering with some stuff that he's heard either his sister says or his mama says. So some of his worries are about the rules, or getting lost, or not having a place to sit at lunch. I think that we can find out how to make him feel better. Let's keep reading about Tony Baloney and his first day of school. At breakfast, Big Sister Baloney tells Tony Baloney 20 times, or maybe twice, that she was in Mrs. Gamboni's class too. I was her most perfect student. Bibi, we don't have to be perfect, says Mama Baloney. We just have to try our best. Well, I was line leader my first day, she says. Maybe I'll be line leader the first day too, says Tony Baloney. Fat chance, says Big Sister Baloney. Tony Baloney does not love trouble. You know, only one person can be line leader at a time, and that's the first person in line. And if you don't get to be line leader on your first day, or even on your second day, it doesn't mean anything. You'll get a chance to be line leader. So if Tony Baloney isn't line leader on his first day, that doesn't mean that he's in trouble or that his teacher doesn't like him. It just wasn't his turn yet, and it'll be okay. I think Big Sister is causing trouble. It says Tony Baloney does not love trouble, but trouble loves him. So look at that. His sister was pulling on his toast, and he fell over, and it's milk spills and the cereal spills, so Trouble loves him. School rules. At school, Big Sister Baloney walks Tony Baloney to his classroom. Dandelion must stay in your cubby, she says. It's a rule. Be a rule keeper. That's my motto. Oh, that's my motto too, says Tony Baloney. Oh, good. I'm so glad that he's not going to bring his stuffed animal into the classroom. In fact, it's very nice of his teacher to let his stuffed animal even be in his cubby. We don't bring stuffed animals to school. Welcome to Mrs. G's garden, says Mrs. Gamboni. She is smiley. Her voice is cheerful. She smells like peaches and coconut. Mrs. Gamboni grins at Tony Baloney. You must be Beebe's brother. She loved to be my line leader. Tony Baloney grins back and thinks, I would love to be line leader too. Mrs. Gamboni points to the board. These are our classroom rules, and she reads them out loud. Number 1, in rooms and hallways, always walk. So if we're inside, how should we move from one place to another? Should we crawl? No. When we're inside of the classroom or hallways, should we run or jump? No. It says, in rooms and hallways, always walk. Number 2, be kind to friends when you play or talk. So we have to use our nice words. Number 3, raise your flipper to tell or ask. Well, I don't have flippers, and you don't have flippers. What would we raise to tell or ask? Our hands, that's right. We would put our arm up in the air. Would you tell me that your arm is up in the air? No, you would just put it up in the air and I would see it. So you would raise your hand if you want to tell or if you want to ask. Number 4, follow directions and stay on task. On task. Does anybody know what that means? It means you're working. It means you're working on what the teacher told you to work on. So that's a rule. We have to follow directions and stay working on what we're supposed to be working on. We work during work time. Number 5, no interruptions if you please, except for the bee emergencies. I wonder what a bee emergency is. Does everyone know what the bee emergencies are? No one knows. Let's find out. Mrs. Gamboni explains, bee emergencies are bathroom, bandage, and belly upset. Okay, so if you need a Band-Aid because you're actually bleeding, not like an old scratch, but there's drops of blood coming out, and you need a Band-Aid to cover it up and stop the bleeding, then that might be an okay interruption. If you need to go to the bathroom, you might need to interrupt and say, I need to go to the bathroom. We have a special way that you can tell me to go to the bathroom in our classroom. One that doesn't use your voice. And then, if your belly is upset. She says, when I'm working with other penguins, you may interrupt me only if you need to use the bathroom, or need a bandage, or has a belly upset. Does everyone know what belly upset means? Tony Baloney knows. It means barf, he shouts. Tony Baloney and Bob laugh. Everyone else laughs too. Soon the class is a mess of giggling penguins. Mrs. Gamboni points to rule number 3 and asks everyone to please settle down. Rule number 3 was raise your flipper to tell or ask. Now when Mrs. Gamboni asked, does everyone know what belly upset means? Tony Baloney knew what it meant. Did he raise his flipper? No, he didn't. He yelled out. He just shouted out. That was not okay. At recess, all the penguins play freeze tag. Tony Baloney is so excited that he accidentally tags Bob too hard. Could Bob get hurt? Yes, it's very important that if we're playing freeze tag, we are not touching. Somebody could get hurt. Mrs. Gamboni frowns. Tony Baloney, please remember to be kind to your friends. At lunch, Tony Baloney carries his tray across the everything room. He wants to sit with Bob. When he sees a spot next to him, he runs. Mrs. Gamboni calls, Tony Baloney, always walk. But it is too late. Slip, slide, crash. Remember, one of the rules was, in rooms or hallways, always walk. Now, we don't eat in an everything room at our school. We eat in a room called the cafeteria. So we won't have a basketball hoop or a stage. We eat in the cafeteria, a room that's made just for eating. After lunch, Tony Baloney needs a moment with Dandylion. So here he's talking to Dandylion in the cubby, and he says, and then Mrs. Gamboni had a little talk with me about the rules. She said that I'll get the hang of them soon. And she said we shouldn't let these small or maybe gigantic disasters spoil an otherwise lovely beginning of the school year. Oh, and I'm not line leader. And Dandylion says, yeah, we sort of knew that might happen. Give it time, dude. So, did he have some problems with the rules? Yes. Did he do it on purpose or an accident because he's still learning? Yeah, it was an accident. He's still learning. It's the very beginning of the school year. You might have some trouble with the rules at first too. You give it some time and you keep trying. And he's not crying over not being line leader. I'm proud of him. B emergencies. That afternoon, the penguins take turns working with Mrs. Gamboni. While they wait, they have choice time. Tony Baloney chooses blocks. He and Bob build a tall tower. But then 7, or maybe 77, blocks fall on top of Bob. Mrs. Gamboni, calls Tony Baloney. Without looking up, Mrs. Gamboni asks, Tony Baloney, is this a B emergency? Tony Baloney thinks about the rules. Bathroom, bandage, belly upset. No, he says, and he wonders what to do. Is it something he can take care of himself? If Bob is not actually hurt, Tony Baloney might be able to take care of this himself. Let's find out. Until he realizes that this is a B emergency, and he bellows, Bob is buried beneath the blocks. Because Bob is actually hurt. And if somebody is hurt, that is an emergency. It's not something that you can take care of yourself. He might need to go to the nurse. Friendship Ambassador. Today, Tony Baloney is our Friendship Ambassador, says Mrs. Gamboni. Does everyone know what that means? It means he's a good friend, said Sally, especially to Bob. That's right, says Mrs. Gamboni. Now, we need to add to our list of B emergency. Does anyone have ideas? Oh, everyone does. B emergency. Bathroom, bandage, belly upset. So those were the first 3 that the teacher had talked about. Buried beneath blocks. Well, that was another one, because that's what happened to Bob, and he got hurt. Bruised beak. Well, if you bump something, it might get bruised, and that's part of being hurt. Barking beetles. I don't think we're going to have any bugs that make noise, so those won't be an emergency in our room. Those are just silly. Baboons on bicycles. Another silly one. We're not going to have that in our room. Boomerangs and banana bombs. Oh, I think that those are just silly ones. Basically, the first ones were okay. Bathroom, bandage, or belly upset, because bandage could mean if you're hurt. And that's what these two are, and the other ones are just silly. Soon, the class is a mess of giggling penguins. That night at dinner, Mama Baloney says, "Wow, friendship ambassador. Very impressive," says Papa Baloney. "And on the first day," said Tony Baloney. Big Sister Baloney says, "It's not polite to wear a hat at the table." "He may leave it on," says Mama Baloney, and he does. Oh, here he is talking to Dandylion again. "School was fun. I made a friend named Bob." "I liked it too. I met a stuffed turtle named Pedro." "Mrs. Gamboni is nice. I kinda love her." "Did I tell you that I'm friendship ambassador?" "Twice, or maybe 50 times. But tell me again, and I'll pretend to be surprised." Because sometimes it's nice to share your good news again. If you have good news from school, you should always share it with your parents. They would love to hear it, I'm sure. Thank you so much for reading about school rules with me. The rules at school are going to be a little bit different in almost every classroom. But if we follow the rules, it helps keep everybody safe and helps us learn. Thanks for reading with me today.